Welcome to Basic and Bookish Podcast, where today we are discussing our favorite moments, characters, and foreshadowing from A Court of Frost and Starlight, Book 4 of the ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas. I'm Kinsey.
And I'm Karly. Join us as we enter the Maasverse, preparing for the highly anticipated release of ACOTAR 6.
This is part of our Massive Maasverse Mayhem Crash Course season, where we will cover favorite ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, and Crescent City moments, world building and lore breakdowns, ACOTAR 6 theories, and more before the sequel's release on October 27th, 2026. And once ACOTAR 6 is here, we'll be right by your side to recover from the inevitable cliffhanger before ACOTAR 7's release on January 12th, 2027. And yes, we will be updating our theories between releases.
And with that, content warning and spoiler alert. The first portion of this episode will only contain spoilers up to Book 4, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and we will give a clear spoiler warning for the entire ACOTAR series before we dive into the second half of our episode. If you're reading the ACOTAR series for the first time, check out our timestamps in the show notes to see where you're safe to continue listening, then pause and return after you finish reading the entire series.
Due to the nature of these books, this podcast is rated R in content and language. If you'd like to skip the ads and have access to full video formats, it's available now on Patreon. That link can be found in our show notes.
Now prepare to dive into the cauldron because we're entering the Maasverse. All right, starting off with our overall thoughts on A Court of Frost and Starlight. Did you enjoy Book 4?
Not really. What about you?
I mean, it's fine.
It's just there.
Yeah. I did think there was some interesting moments, but not too much going on.
Yeah.
What did you like about Frost and Starlight, and what fired your ash arrows? Keep in mind we will be discussing specific scenes in a moment.
Well, I did like that it was a breather, slightly. I mean, I also have issues with how much of a breather it was. But after the ending of A Court of Wings of Ruin and how distraught I was, and most readers, it was nice to get a slight breather. I also really enjoyed the random lore drops. This is the very first time that I have reread this, and I don't remember some of these things happening. So it was kind of eye-opening for me.
Yeah. I didn't remember all the little lore drops either. Again, I've never reread Frost and Starlight. Yeah. I think I also read it the first time pretty darn quickly. I think it was a speed read. I do think we get some looking back and seeing how far they've come, which is nice. As for what has fired our ash arrows, for me, what I didn't like, it's the fact that it has little to no plot. It's very character driven, and like I said, it was nice to get a breather, but there's only so much of it that I could handle because I'm like, let's get to the nitty gritty. I really did not care about the fact that it was the winter solstice holiday special. There was way too much gift buying in this book, and I'm a person who doesn't enjoy shopping, so I was like, can we talk about something else? I get that. I also didn't feel like there was enough plot. I feel like almost each POV almost felt like a prologue for the start of a book. But then as soon as you would think the book was going to start, it just kind of felt like another prologue.
Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of nervous for ACOTAR 6 after reading this because we know that the length of ACOTAR 6 is going to be around the same as this. It's still going to be 150 pages longer. But I'm like, it's definitely going to have that prologue feel to it. Although there actually is going to be a much more direct plot. Now, this will likely give away our full ACOTAR series ranking, but where does A Court of Frost and Starlight fall within the series for you?
I mean, it's probably last.
Yeah, for me, it's last in the entire ACOTAR series and the entire Maasverse.
Okay. All right. Knowing your ranking, how does Frost and Starlight compare to the first time you read it?
I'm going to be honest. I might have actually enjoyed it better the first time I read this.
Oh, interesting.
And I feel like I do have good things to say about this book, you guys, I promise. Just right now, I'm getting this all out of the way. I remembered it being happier. I remember certain scenes, they were still funny. I thought they were longer. And to me this time, and I don't know if it's just my headspace that I'm currently in, but I felt like this book was actually really sad for a lot of characters. It changed my opinion on a lot of characters, and I think that's what really bummed me out. So I'm a little bit nervous for the next book because I feel that Silver Flames is going to impact me a lot more than it did the first time I read it.
Yeah, I feel like I maybe noticed more lore drops and stuff on a reread just because, again, the first time I read the whole series, I kind of just read through it. Yeah, I Passenger Princess. I was reading it for the vibes. So I felt like I actually maybe enjoyed it a little more than the first time. And you're right. I feel like I do remember it being happier. And this time it felt very bittersweet.
Yeah. And so, you think it would be happier because they just survived a war and but I don't know. Maybe it's because now you and I know where the story is going and how hard it is for certain characters to recover. And we're entering a little bit of spoiler territory for those that haven't finished the series. So I'm going to leave it at that. But maybe that's part of the reason. But yeah, I definitely remember it being like, we're all happy. And we're a family.
I do think, though, that it is kind of, even just on its own, if there wasn't a book after it, it just feels kind of bittersweet because you can tell that they're a little, I don't know if shell-shocked is the right term, but there's this feeling of desperately wanting to get back to normalcy regardless of how much they've had to overcome. And they're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good way to put it. Now, we are going to turn things around, you guys. Don't worry. We are about to channel our inner Suriel and spill the tea on all of our favorite moments, characters, and quotes in A Court of Frost and Starlight. This section will not contain any series spoilers. So, with this being the lighthearted holiday, winter solstice special after surviving the war against Hybern, which scene was your favorite?
Probably the conversation between Amren and Elaine, where Elaine is just outright asking Amren questions and people are really surprised. And Amren's actually being much more open with her than you would think and answering her questions. And it makes me wonder if Amren would have answered those questions for anybody if they would have not been too afraid to ask. But I just enjoyed Elaine being actually curious about her surroundings and what was going on and how things came to be. Because I feel like Elaine character up until this point has been kind of a person who sticks her head in the sand and kind of pretends like she doesn't see how bad things are around her or what's really going on. And seeing her be curious and start to realize I need to be a person that pays attention and asks questions was nice.
No, it really was nice. And you're absolutely right about Elaine's character in this book. This is when she starts to turn around and has a bit more of a personality. Because, I mean, she was very catatonic in Wings and Ruin. And it's funny that Elaine and Nesta happen to be the only people that are ever brave enough to ask Amren questions. Maybe it's ignorance. Maybe it's because they were raised in the human world and never felt the threat of whatever Amren is. But I'm glad that someone's asking these questions because it's very interesting. I'd be asking her for her whole life story.
Well,
Give it to us.
Yeah, and I think it's just nice to have people care about you. And people care about Amren, but they're also afraid of her. So I think it's nice for her to have somebody so unassuming just be like, genuinely tell me about yourself. And it was just such a sweet moment.
Definitely. Now, not necessarily a sweet moment, but a very funny moment. My favorite scene was when Cassian and Feyre got really drunk while decorating.
Oh, yeah.
And then Azriel shows up and he's like, this looks like shit. So he tries redoing all their decorations. Eventually he gets so frustrated that he gives up. They hand him a bottle of wine. He chugs it. And that's the exact moment that Rhysand comes through. And so it's just very comical timing for me. And he's like, well, now I know who's drinking my wine. And Azriel's just like, wait, let me explain. So I enjoyed seeing this side of Azriel because usually he's very serious, very broody type of a character. And in this one, he seemed more relaxed to me. So I just really enjoyed that scene. I thought it was silly. I thought it was longer. I was actually surprised by how short it was, but that was my favorite. I also really enjoyed the snowball fight because, again, it's like, okay, so these are 500-year-old males. They are the most powerful warriors of their time and age and ever in the history. And yet they build forts and throw snowballs at each other every year. They act like little kids. I just think it just is cute to think about. It's just silly. Like,
it is cute. I think that's the only scene I actually really truly remembered from this book on a reread. I was like, I remember that part, but I didn't remember much else.
Yeah.
So
I remembered a couple scenes, and that was definitely amongst them.
What did you think of Sarah J Maas' creative decision to add more POVs and switch between first and third person as a transition from the original trilogy to the next stage in the ACOTAR series?
I really enjoy more POVs. I prefer reading books that has multiple. So I wasn't personally bothered by the addition of more. I also didn't care about the switch. I know some people were like, ew, I can't believe it switches between first person and third person. I don't really notice that type of stuff because I can connect with it either way. So that doesn't bother me. But I am sad that this was the transition away because I really enjoyed Feyre's point of view in the original trilogy, and then moving forward, even though she does still have majority of the POV in this book, she kind of gets sidelined moving on. So this is more of a bittersweet creative decision for me, how I feel about it. But I am glad. I feel like we got a lot more interesting lore drops because of the choice to add more point of views that otherwise we wouldn't learn, because obviously Feyre doesn't know about Mor's backstory or Cassian's. So I am glad we're exploring more of Prythian.
Yeah, I agree. I always enjoy more POVs. I always find it interesting. I think sometimes too many POVs can make it hard to connect with a character because if you're never in their head long enough, it can be tough. But this is a point where you're already connected to the characters. So yeah, I thought it was fun to jump around in POVs. I don't generally mind a first and third person switching in a book. Yeah. I will say in the graphic audio, specifically, the narration style kind of throws you when you jump between the narration styles. So I don't necessarily know that I'm going to love it in a graphic audio situation, but that's just because like the voice changes all of a sudden kind of throw you when you're in Cassian's POV, but it's not his voice anymore. So that threw me.
See, and I think I only really listened to 2 or 3 of the chapters on graphic audio, and they happened to be Feyre's chapters. So I didn't get that really drastic switch to the third person. I think that knowing how Throne of Glass and Crescent City are third person and multi-POV the entire series, I would almost prefer if in ACOTAR 6, Sarah J Maas continues having multiple point of views throughout the book instead of only sticking to like 1 or 2 main one. I'm like, just give us more all the time. Now, which point of view out of the ones that we did get here was your favorite?
Probably more. I mean, my only complaint is I wish it would have been longer. I wanted even like more of her backstory. The whole little snippet with Eris was really interesting.
Especially because they keep saying that someone's lying and we still don't have the full story.
We don't. So I really want that whole story. I feel like that chapter ended and I was like, no, come back. So that's probably the sign of a really good chapter for me. What about you?
While Mor's was not my favorite, I do just have to really quickly say, I think I maybe found hers the most interesting because, I don't know, besides Asriel, I feel like she has the most to hide. And we learn a lot. They're just very strange things happening in all of her chapters. So it was interesting. But I do think that my favorite point of view is, I think it's a tie between Rhys and Cassian, just because I like Rhysand. And so I was like, yay. And because in the other books, we did technically get Rhysand's point of view in Mist and Fury and Wings and Ruin, but it was for 1 or 2 chapters max. So it was nice to get a little bit more. Plus, we got to learn more about the other Bat Boys through his point of view. But I also just really enjoyed Cassian's because he's such a good guy.
He is. He's such a good guy.
I felt really sad for him, though. I kept being like, my Shayla.
Yeah, I do really love Cassian. I feel like Cassian is the character who's always trying to do what's best and right for everybody, no matter how hard it is or the consequences to himself. I feel like he genuinely always tries to do what's best. And I think he's just kind of got a heart of gold.
I fully agree with you 110%. So Karly, I know you consider ACOTAR a billionaire age gap romance in disguise. Can you please elaborate? Because I feel like it was very clear in this book.
Yeah. I mean, it is, right? Like, Rhys is super duper rich and he's 500 plus years old. And he talks about in this book that Feyre is turning 21.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. That kind of icked me out. I'm not gonna lie.
And it's different for Faye. Hey, look, at least it's not Quicksilver, where a certain character is over 1,000 years old and the FMC's also in her 20s.
Yeah, but Sarah's is older in those books, though. Like, I think she's at least 25.
Yeah, still in their 20s versus 1,000.
You know, plus. I just want my FMC's frontal lobe fully developed. Is that so much to ask?
Like, you know, I'm with you there. I want it fully developed. Give him a full frontal lobe, okay?
Yeah.
But it definitely is a billionaire romance. It just add fantasy to the mix. Oh no, I have an unlimited supply of money to buy whatever I want for my friends whenever I want. Yeah. They only acquired 2 extra pieces of property in this book.
I know. You definitely feel like the shopping montage feeling of like a billionaire romance in this book. That's kind of what it feels like in parts of it, for a decent part of it anyways.
Honestly, maybe that's why it threw me off so much.
Yeah. Listen, and this is not, I am not hating on billionaire or even age gap romances. To me, it's specifically that she is so young. Like, she's turning 21. They met when she was like, what, 19, 20?
I think she met at 20 because Callan May is in the spring and her birthday is the solstice. She was 19 when she met Tamlin.
I just am like so young, you know, very newly 20, now 21. And then Cassian's all like, well, it's okay. Your parents met when your mom was 18. And I'm like, that doesn't make this better. This might make it worse.
See, for me, I am totally not bothered by the age gap whatsoever, but I was more so thrown by it totally feeling like a billionaire romance.
Yeah. I mean, I've read some billionaire romances and enjoyed them, and that's fine. It feels very apparent in Frost and Starlight, and the extreme age gap just kind of icked me out a little bit at this point.
That's understandable.
All right, Kinsey, what are your favorite quotes from this book? I'm sure you have enough for the both of us.
I do.
Okay.
So this is between Cassian and Feyre. Cassian says, "What did you get me for solstice?" And Feyre says, "Heaping pile of shut the hell up." I'm like, yep, that's right. Azriel says this to Cassian and Feyre's decorating, quote, "It's almost like you two tried to make it as ugly as possible." I loved it. It's so funny. This is Rhysand to Amren. He says, quote, "Amren, you have a spectacular gift for ruining dinner conversation. I wonder if you could make a career out of it." I'm like, damn, okay. And then finally, this is Cassian and Azriel speaking about Amren. Cassian says, quote, "Pick on someone your own size." And Azriel says, "I'd feel bad for the mice." She's so small.
I remember laughing at that line when I was listening to it. That's a really good one.
It's funny. I always go for the humor. I either go for something that makes me laugh or like sob. So no in between.
Yeah, it's kind of those two extremes. I feel like I go for the violent quotes.
That is true.
Not a lot of violence in this book.
No, none.
No.
And maybe that's it. I just needed a little bit more action.
A little more action.
We didn't even get training. It was just sex.
There was a decent amount of sex and gifts. Yeah. All right, before we move on to our character and spoiler section, are there any other small moments that are favorites or you found interesting?
Yeah. I also enjoyed and laughed when Elaine's gift to Azriel ended up being powder to help him deal with the headaches that is caused by everybody. So, and then everyone's reaction to Azriel laughing. And speaking of gifts, I did find it really interesting the difference in Elaine's gift from Lucien and her gift to Azriel, because Lucien gave her what appears to be a very thoughtful gift with the gloves that can never break. But then Feyre thinks, well, I wonder if that actually is taking away her joy in gardening, because maybe she does like getting her hands dirty. And it just made me sad because I realized in that moment, obviously, Lucien isn't fighting very hard to get to know her, but a lot of people don't know her heart. And that's something that she had even mentioned in Wings and Ruin, that she can hear everyone's hearts, but no one can hear or feel or understand hers. But then with Azriel's gift, just by observing him rubbing his temples, she assumed, oh, he struggles with headaches. So she's just very observant over what he actually needs. And it's not something that Azriel had asked for, but she gave it to him and it was appreciated. And Lucian's just like, well, I think she likes gardening, so I'll just give her this, and might not necessarily be something she wants or needs. On that same note, Mor is a horrible gift giver. And it makes me wonder how that reflects her own relationships with the inner circle. Because we know that Moore is hiding so much of herself. Nobody truly knows her. And she's putting on this facade of who she is as a person. And it almost is reflected in the same way with her gifts. Like, it's not what you'd expect. I mean, you'd feel like it would be the opposite. Like, she would receive bad gifts, right? But I don't know. She ends up getting her own gifts for herself. Like, she just told Cassian exactly what to get her.
It is interesting. I think I read Moore's gift giving almost as like trolling them and like doing it just to see if they would say anything, almost like doing this over and over again to see if someone finally says something. But I like the idea that the writing there is specifically to show you that maybe she doesn't know them as well as you would think she would, and that she's maybe not being as introspective with the people around her as she could be. That's interesting.
Yeah. Like, how well do they all actually know each other? Because everyone else seemed to get perfect gifts for everyone, except potentially the gift Lucian gave to Elaine, and then every single gift that Moore gives everyone.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You'd think after 500 years, someone would say something to her, or she's got to know. Like, try a little harder.
It makes you wonder, though, does she know and she's just waiting for someone to say something, or does she just not care as much as it seems like she does?
I don't know.
So, it's interesting.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Then the last thing that I do want to say before moving on to our spoiler section, this has to get an honorable mention. In Rhysand's point of view, he was remembering the first winter solstice that he had with Azriel and Cassian at his mom's house in the Illyrian war camp. And he said that at Cassian's first solstice, he was trying to hide his tears because it was the first not only solstice gift that he has ever received, but just gift in general. And I'm just like, oh my God. And Rhysand's mother was also crying. And I just got a very vivid picture of this orphan boy who everybody hates and doesn't take care of, just being so grateful to, for once in his life, have a little present. And I'm like, oh my God, my Shayla, he's just a baby.
Yeah, like he's just a baby.
Out of anyone in this book, I want Cassian to be the happiest. I feel like he's just such a kind person. He's so emotionally mature and he cares so much for others. I just want him to be happy.
Yeah, I want him to be happy too. That scene was really sad and also like sweet. That was the start of him getting to finally like build his own family, sort of, you know? So it was sweet, but it was also sad. It was kind of a running theme with this book. I think it's like sweet and sad.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was so surprised how sad this book had actually made me. No tears, though.
Yeah, I didn't cry either, so that was good.
Yeah, thank God.
All right, it's time for the spoiler-filled portion of the ACOTAR series discussion. So if you haven't finished the entire ACOTAR series, this is your formal spoiler warning. We recommend saving the episode and coming back to hear the spoiler section once you've finished the series. We'll be right here waiting. Please note, the section does not contain overarching Maasverse spoilers. Looking at you, Kinsey.
I know, I've been really good. I've been so
very good. Now to our Seer consult. We have some fun or maybe not so fun ACOTAR foreshadowing moments to mention.
Woohoo! When Feyre asks Rhysand to forgive Nesta for how she treated Feyre as a human, Rhysand claims he can't forgive Nesta because Nesta has an Illyrian heart. Then, when Cassian walks Nesta home after Solstice, he thinks, quote, Nesta held her ground, proud as any Illyrian, more vicious too. To me, it's very interesting the High Lord and Cassian both view Nesta as an Illyrian, and I think this sets up foreshadowing that she would eventually take on their customs and participate in the blood rite.
Ooh.
We also had a lot more mention of the blood rite in this book, so it's kind of interesting how this entire book was only here to set up a court of silver flames.
All right.
And then later, when Cassian first meets Emery, he notes that Emery has a fire in her words and wonders what would happen if Emery and Nesta meet and what would come of it. This clearly foreshadows that Emery and Nesta will meet and that they're a good match as friends and Valkyries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love those little moments.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our final section. It's time to spill the series spoiler tea with the Suriel. What other Frost and Starlight moments did you want to discuss?
Glad you asked. Speaking of more giving very horrible gifts, one of those gifts happened to be to Asriel. He received embroidered towels with his initials on it, which means he does have a last name.
Yeah.
We just don't know what it is. We don't even get the initials, which kind of bothered me. I'm like, look, if you're going to say initials, plural, initials, not initial, I'm like, can you at least tell us what letter of the alphabet the other initial happens to be? But it's just very interesting to me because we only know the last names of 3. Well, I'll say 4. Well, okay, fine. I'm lying. We know the last names of the human families because I was like, okay, we have Grayson's last name. We have Claire Better's last name.
Yeah, so the human world.
We know, and the humans, we have their last names, except for the queens. We don't have the queens. But besides the humans, the Archerons, the Vanceras, and Gwyn's family. We haven't met Gwyn yet. She's in the next book. Baldera is her last name. Do you think it's intentional on Sarah's part to maybe hide relations and connections to characters from other series by not giving her ACOTAR characters last names? Because it's just so strange to me that in every other series she has, everyone has a last name. And there's only 3 Fae families that do.
I definitely think it's intentional because they call out Lucian's last name at one point. So they definitely have them.
Yep. And they mention it a lot. And it's so funny because Lucian's not even a Vansera.
Yeah.
Eris is.
Yeah.
Eris is. But yeah, it's like, why do we only know Gwyn and Lucian and Eris and then the Archeron sisters? It's just so strange to me.
Yeah. So I definitely think that she's being sneaky.
I think she is. And hopefully this was foreshadowing that we will actually learn some last names in the distant future with us knowing that he has frickin' initials.
I'm guessing that you do have some theories on this.
Oh.
But you can't talk about it.
No, I cannot. I have theories for a few characters and what their potential last names could be.
Okay.
Yeah, but I won't talk about that.
All right. Fair enough.
I will talk about this, though. So we gotta talk about mental health.
Okay.
And a lot of other things that happened in this book. Rhysand holds a massive grudge over Nesta in Frost and Starlight specifically. At one point, Feyre says he also needs to blame Elaine for how Feyre was treated when she was younger. And at this point, Feyre has forgiven both of her sisters. But Rhysand infantilizes Elaine, saying, it's different. It's not Elaine's fault because she's Elaine. But he can't forgive Nesta because of her Illyrian heart or whatever the heck. And I'm just like, okay, so you'll forgive one sister, not the other. And Feyre is actively pointing out your hypocrisy here. We should honestly blame both of her sisters for making her go into the woods at 14 and not doing shit to help the family. But anyway, we also just see everyone in general just giving Nesta a really, really hard time with her mental health in this book. At one point, Amryn even pokes fun at how skinny she's getting. And I just was like, you do not say that to someone who is very clearly going through some really bad shit. That's not the best.
I cringed at that.
I cringed so hard. And we always talk about how emotionally mature Cassian is. And at this point, we obviously know, we've known for books that Cassian and Nesta are mates. But even to his mate, he says, you just need to try harder. And that really bothers me because that's something that I've received a lot with my own mental struggles. And I'm just like, dude, you literally can't. Your brain is working against you. So anyway, at this point, how are we feeling about everyone needing therapy?
Everyone needs so much therapy.
So much.
In these books. Yeah.
No.
And I agree. I think the way that they are treating Nesta at this time is really frustrating to me. Everybody gets time to grieve and to go through things. And don't get me wrong, Nesta's being very self-destructive and absolutely. It becomes like dangerous to her to continue on the way she is. But it doesn't feel like in this book that there's a lot of concern.
No, it's
and
a lot of dismissiveness.
Yeah, and I've said a lot that I just wanted Nesta to have more concern for Feyre. And I did, and I still get frustrated about the lack of concern and disdain that she's shown for Feyre. That same token, I'm frustrated that there is a lack of concern at this point being shown towards Nesta in the state that she's in. It's not how do we help her, it's
complain and
and don't get me wrong, like, it doesn't mean Nesta isn't doing things in this book that I love. Like, I don't like the expectation to have people be paying her rent in exchange for spending time with them. Like, that's
paying for her rent, paying for her booze.
Yeah, I mean, there's a level of entitlement that's frustrating to me with Nesta. That's kind of just always been a frustration of mine. But at the same time, I have to like separate, pieces of that where there's a bigger concern right now, and it's that this person is falling apart and they need help, and the way they're talking about her isn't great.
No.
So if you were a person who is not a fan of Nesta because of how she treated Feyre, much like I am, then you also need to not be a fan of how people are treating her now based on her current circumstances. So I don't love it. But yeah, everybody in the series needs so much freaking therapy.
No, they do. And you had mentioned about how you and I both wanted Nesta to pay more attention to Feyre and help her. And she ends up doing that later on in the series. And now, like you had said, people aren't really doing that for her. What really bothered me was Elaine tried once. She tried one time and then kind of gave up on her. And I'm like, okay, so you love her when she defends you and she's like your main person and you're her number one fan, but she gets mad at you one time and now you're talking to Feyre. She's not coming. She's mad, blah, 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 blah. I mean, she still got her gift and not even Feyre got her a gift. Well, I mean, Feyre got her a check for rent. Yeah. But Feyre was really the only person who truly tried to get Nesta at the winter solstice. And it just is crazy to me that Elaine, out of everyone, I feel, should have tried the hardest. And she's just like, oh, she's a lost cause. She was mean to me one time, so fuck her.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an element of, you can't force people to do things. And so I'm not sure how much of this is like, I'm not going to like talk somebody into doing something they really don't want to do. But at the same time, I get what you're saying because, I mean, Nesta was Elaine's number one fan, okay? She would have done anything for Elaine, and that was pretty apparent for 3 full books.
Which should be the number one red flag that something's wrong if Nesta is now telling Elaine to go away. Like, that should be like, oh, fuck, what do we do?
I guess I could see that there's a certain element of if you're just kind of an unpleasant person all the time, that at some point people are just like, well, like, that's just who she is. But I do agree that I feel like Elaine specifically should have tried harder. And other people could have been kinder and given a little more grace during this time because, it's one thing to lose someone the way she did, like for anybody to lose a parent, but for it to happen right in front of you and for that person to essentially sacrifice themselves to save you, I don't know. That's just a messed up situation to be in.
Horrible.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And I feel for her in this book, and it doesn't feel like anybody else really is, with the exception of Feyre.
Yeah, I'm honestly pretty nervous for the next book, not gonna lie, because while I did not cry or get emotional in Frost and Starlight, because we only had that one tiny half of a chapter point of view for Nesta, I was like, oh my God, I do relate a lot to some of the, like, whenever you go through like a really depressive episode or whatever, and she's just numbness. And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm not mentally well enough to be reading the next book. But that's okay.
No.
It was just really
you can't just
sad.
tell people to try harder when they're in that headspace. Like that's just wrong.
Yeah. And it's just sad to me to see that really beautiful love declaration between Cassian and Nesta in the last book to them not talking at all, and then him telling her that of everything. I also just kind of felt like in this book in general, Rhysand almost went down a peg or two on my book boyfriend list for his grudges. And I don't know. I was just like, dude.
I don't necessarily begrudge him having a grudge per se, but I do think sometimes things need to be set aside to deal with bigger issues. And if you love somebody, then you should want to protect the things that they love. And Feyre loves her sister and she wants to help her. And even if you have a grudge, fine, but like you can deal with that on your own time. Like right now there's a bigger issue.
He's definitely coming between the relationship that Feyre can be having with her sister, and that's a big bummer. But other characters that need therapy, definitely Tamlin. Yeah. I still think he's a bad person, but it is really sad to see him like not even eating or doing anything at all. And Rhysand was straight up like, you know what? You completely deserve everything, which is true. But I'm like, you're going to screw everybody else up because you can't even take care of your There's going to be a lot of bad things that'll happen because the Spring Court has fallen.
Tamlin needs a good therapist who can help him look introspectively and see how his actions led to what has happened and not just blaming everybody else.
Yes, there is. I'm not going to save this for the theory section because this is not my theory, but a lot of people in the fandom have wondered if Amarantha was Tamlin's mate and he had rejected the bond, and now that Amarantha is dead, he's slowly going insane because his mate is dead. I don't know if I subscribe to that or not, but I'm like, dude, you literally were with Feyre for not even a full year. You low-key need to get over it. To lose your entire court like this is crazy.
I have heard that theory, but regardless, I don't think Tamlin has ever been a person who looks at a situation and fully takes responsibility for it. I think there's been a level of privilege in his life that has meant that he's never really had to take full responsibility for things like that.
I just want to know if medical degrees are illegal in Prythian because nobody knows how to perform a cesarean section and nobody knows how to be a therapist, apparently.
Yeah, I have big feelings on the C-section thing. We can talk about that.
We'll talk about that later.
In Silver Flames.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to end on one last thing.
Yeah.
Lucian and your band of exiles. That is the cringiest shit. Sorry. I know he's a sad boy too, and he also needs therapy very much, but I'm like, it doesn't help that you're calling each other the Band of Exiles.
I mean, I guess to a certain extent, it's accurate, except that Lucian is acting like he's just not welcome in the Night Court, and I'm like, you're welcome in Velaris. You're welcome. They tell you can like live in their family home. Like
there's his own limitation.
Yeah, he's self-imposing this idea that he's not welcome there because he feels uncomfortable there, even though he has been welcomed there. And I understand things are awkward with Elaine, but that just doesn't seem like an avenue that he's also trying very hard.
No.
So, yeah, also needs therapy. Also, probably, as well as Jurian's doing, he probably does need it too, because he had to live as an eyeball for way too long.
Yeah, that... Can you imagine being forced to watch horrible atrocities for hundreds of years and you can't do or say anything except
Honestly, I
witness?
don't know how he wasn't crazy.
He definitely is. He's just pulling it off really well.
Okay.
So we'll wait until he becomes crowned a Mad King.
All right. Well, fingers crossed Jurian makes it.
I just need someone to learn how to be a therapist.
Yeah, I feel like that every time I read fantasy, like every single time, every character has like experiences tragic deaths with their parents, no family, living in exile. Everyone's got PTSD. Everyone's got trauma. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of therapy personally, so therapy for everybody.
It's a great time. Yeah. This episode is not sponsored by...
Yeah, honestly. That's who should be sponsoring.
Yeah, we need to reach out.
Book
Hey,
podcast.
sponsor us. We already advocate for it.
Yeah. Therapy and snacks should be big snack food should be sponsoring book podcasts.
Honestly.
Well, one last thing before we close this episode out is Cassian specifically mentions Asriel's not winnowing ability, and that it seems to be through shadows that he travels or something like that's kind of alluded to. But he specifically says that Asriel has like never explained it to them. But I'm like, did you ask? Has anybody directly asked him how it works?
Why is everyone so afraid of asking how powers work? And
honestly, is it a faux pas in the Fae world and we just don't know it?
No, and it's crazy too, because Cassian says in that same moment, or he thinks rather, that Asriel's shadows are not the same as Rhysand's. Mm-hmm. Just like, okay.
Yeah, no, the lore around Asriel in Cassian's chapter was really interesting. And I really, really hope that we get a lot more on Asriel in the new books that come out. I'm be real big sad girl if we don't, because he's fascinating. Him and more. I need to know what is going on there.
He's very fascinating. Mm-hmm. I honestly think that once we get an Asriel book, he's probably going to end up being my favorite Batboy. And I hope I don't end up regretting that. Hopefully he doesn't end up being some great traitor and being totally crazy. But I think he's just very fascinating as a character. Mm-hmm. And I do want to point another little detail I had noticed about his shadows was, I forget who had thought it, but they had said that his shadows were almost wreathing around him like his tattoos and covering the tattoos. And then towards the end of the book, Rhysand had literally mentioned that Asriel hasn't tried to remove his Illyrian tattoos yet. And I was just like, now why would you say that? Why is this a thing? And why are we already comparing his shadows to being tattoo-like? And for all we know, what if he's already removed his tattoos somehow and is just pretending like he has them with his shadows? Like, I don't that was just a strange little detail.
What if he could find a way to like get out of a bargain and the person wouldn't know it because he could make it look like he still has the bargain tattoo?
Yeah, he is a sneaky little spy master.
He is a sneaky little spy master. That's true.
And he's just like, oh yeah, let's just mess with the blood right. We don't need to be honest. Let's just like kill the people who are causing us issues before they can revolt. And Cassian's like, we can't do that. The blood right is sacred. And Asriel's like, no, just fucking kill him.
I'm kind of with Asriel on this.
No, honestly though, same. But it was just so interesting how he really, truly does not consider himself an Illyrian and hates everything that has to do with their customs and hates being in this camp.
Again,
and I wonder,
he needs therapy.
Girl, they all do.
Yeah.
They all do. I know a guy.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on Asriel before we close this out?
Nope.
All right. And this is where we leave you today, Basic Book Besties. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave us a review and join us on our next episode where we are recapping A Court of Silver Flames, Book 5 in the ACOTAR series. If you need more bookish content, we have Spice Ratings, Fourth Wing Deep Dive topics, our thoughts on recent adaptations, and more. If you stick around, we have really fun author interviews scheduled and discussions on some of our favorite contemporary romances.
You can join us over on Patreon, where you can access all of our episodes ad-free, 3 days early, and in full video, plus extras like exclusive book club access and shoutouts on the show. You'll find our Patreon link in the show notes, along with all the ways you can support the podcast.
Don't forget to stay in the loop by following us on social media and joining us in our Discord chat. Who knows, you might just meet your next book bestie there. You can also check out our website, basicandbookishpod.com, for info about our upcoming seasons, our contact form, and more. We link that down in the show notes.
We'll be back next week. Until then, prepare to crash out over ACOTAR 6 as we continue to crash course our way through the Maasverse.
I'm actually, at this point, looking forward to rereading A Court of Silver Flames, because I feel like as I'm rereading, I'm like, man, I really wasn't paying attention the first time I read these books.
I am looking forward to it. I actually have been eagerly awaiting to reread A Court of Silver Flames since the Throne of Glass series. So I'm pretty excited, even though I know it's probably going to hurt this time.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh, and you know what comes out Oh, as we're recording this, you know it comes out tonight at midnight.
Oh, I do.
The
Off Campus.
The Off Campus series premieres tonight at midnight, my time. Probably 1 o'clock your time.
It's actually probably out already.
No, I guess they release at 3 a.m. Eastern time.
Oh, that's annoying.
I know. So it's midnight Pacific and then 1 o'clock your time. But they're releasing the whole series.
Oh, all at
it's
once?
not week by week.
Oh.
I actually kind of like the week by week. I feel like it makes me pace it out.
I agree, because I feel like with Bridgerton, you just like race through it. But I really enjoyed having to stew with the angst with heated rivalry every single week. It brought back the fandom because you're waiting together and you make art in the meantime. And it's just fun.
Yeah. I think with their other series, Maxton Hall, which I know you don't watch, but I watch it. And that show, I think, at least last year, it hasn't released this summer yet, but they released, I think, 2 or 3 episodes up front, and then it was weekly after that. So that was kind of nice because you kind of got what felt like a full meal out of it. And then you got, you know, an appetizer every week, which was nice as you led up to the finale, which was fun.
Percy Jackson did that. I think they did 2, maybe 3 episodes right away and then weekly from there.
Oh, okay. I really got caught Percy Jackson. I'm very behind.
Yes, you do. Before season 3 comes out this December or November.
If I have till November, I'll definitely be caught up by then, as long as I don't get kicked out of my sister's Disney Plus.
You actually might, because I got kicked off my parents' Hulu the other day.
I just have to go over to her house and log into her Wi-Fi, and then it'll let me back in. Got to do a drive-by.
Drive-by password.
Yeah, exactly.
Get on their Wi-Fi.
Stick my phone out my car window.
This is my home.